Didn't they say that he everybody, men and women?
Oh yeah, he banged everybody.
Everybody.
Yeah, and then it came out he was banging the guy with the big cube.
That's right.
It's much heavier than I imagined.
Now, you gotta tell me the magic word.
All right, I'm gonna do it.
I was in Canada with Catherine Cornell, and I was in Eagle Rampant.
The internet was abuzz with excitement when a new biography about Marlon Brando cast the iconic The Godfather actor in a fresh perspective, unveiling his unconventional romantic pursuits within the realm of Hollywood. The biography, titled Brandon Unzipped and authored by Darwin Porter, asserts that the Academy Award-winning actor, who identified as BS, had intimate relationships with various men in the industry. Let's delve into the video to know the motivations and factors that led Brando to explore these diverse connections. Speculations about Marlon Brando's HS relationships had long circulated, and the legendary actor eventually confirmed these aspects of his personal life. Brando was known not only for his connections with leading actresses of his time, but also for his unconventional romantic entanglements. Recently, veteran music producer Quincy Jones and comedian Richard Pryor's widow, Jennifer Lee, disclosed that Brando had been involved in a relationship with Pryor.
Jones casually mentioned that Brando once had with Pryor as well as a couple other famous men.
Speculations regarding Marlon Brando's bisexuality had been circulating for years, despite his remarkable achievements in becoming one of the finest actors of his generation. In fact, in 1976, Brando spoke out about his sexuality and said, "Homosexuality is so much in fashion it no longer makes news. Like a large number of men, I too have had homosexual experiences, and I am not ashamed." So, was Marlon Brando gay? Brando openly acknowledged having both heterosexual and homosexual relationships throughout his lengthy and unpredictable career in Hollywood. Recent interviews with veteran music producer Quincy Jones and comedian Richard Pryor's widow, Jennifer Lee, have once again brought the spotlight onto his complex and diverse S.
It's a surprise, he said. We went straight to the Comedy Store, and he got on stage. When he got on stage and I saw what he did.
Ever since Quincy Jones first alleged in 2018 that Richard Pryor and Marlon Brando had a S relationship back in the day, the internet has been ablaze trying to determine if the music icon was being facetious or letting the world in on a decades-long secret. But with confirmations and denials coming from both Pryor and Brando's family members, the mystery is only continuing to grow. And while the truth may never be clear, let's take a look back at both sides of the story. Quincy Jones didn't pull back any punches and said something about Brando. Jones was the first to claim that the legendary duo had a S relationship, telling Vulture in a wide-ranging interview that he was the most charming MF you ever met. He'd F anything, anything. He'd F a mailbox. James Baldwin, Richard Pryor, Marvin Gaye, Marlon Brando, and Richard Pryor. That's right. In the same interview, Quincy Jones made a series of sensational claims, including that he possessed knowledge about the real identity of John F. Kennedy's assassin, had dated Ivanka Trump, and asserted that Michael Jackson had stolen music at some point in his career.
Because he was so smart and intuitive, you know. He just hooked on to everything, and he watched everybody. James Brown, Fred Astaire, Sammy Davis.
The speculations got more strong when Jennifer, the widow of Richard Pryor, confirmed the rumor, sharing with TMZ that her late husband was always candid about his bisexuality among friends and had no qualms about the public revelation of his relationship with Brando. She mentioned that the comedy icon extensively documented his encounters with men in diaries, which she intends to release later this year. It was the 70s. Drugs were still good, especially quaaludes, Jennifer said. If you did enough cocaine, you'd a radiator and send it flowers in the morning. She also noted that she thinks Pryor would be having a good laugh if he heard Jones had spread the news. During the world premiere screening of the documentary I Am Richard Pryor at South by Southwest, Jennifer Lee Pryor, who was married to the actor-comedian Richard Pryor twice, mentioned that her late husband had no shame about his affair with actor Marlon Brando.
It was kind of surprising how open she was, but she said Richard had no shame in this either, and he was actually very... He also kind of said that, you know what, it was the 70s, that's when still good, a lot of quaaludes.
Jennifer also revealed that Richard had a dalliance with a transgender woman, but his interest waned after she underwent gender confirmation surgery. She also noted that his stand-up routines often delved into his encounters with men.
These guys were artists, so they were more than willing to experiment with different things, and she said he'd be laughing if he heard the report came out today.
During a 1977 gay rights benefit show at the Hollywood Bowl, he openly stated, "I have sucked a D." However, he later grew hostile toward the audience, pointing out the lack of black attendees and highlighting the differences in the challenges faced by blacks and the LGBTQ+ community. He used offensive language to discuss the racial tensions, mentioning the N-word and the F-word, and criticized gay individuals for their alleged racial prejudice, contrasting their activities on Hollywood Boulevard with the racial unrest occurring in Los Angeles' Watts neighborhood. While the words were delivered angrily, Jennifer said she understood Richard's point. He was admitting that, hey, I'm kind of one of you. Not necessarily one of you, but I know the party, I know what happens, I'm down, she told the Beast. Shortly after these revelations, Rain, the daughter of Richard Pryor and his second wife, Shelley Bonus, vehemently denied the alleged affair. She expressed her feelings in an impassioned Facebook post, strongly criticizing both Quincy Jones and Pryor's widow, referring to them as bottom feeders. All you who touted faux news and preach about wanting blacks to be represented in a great light and then posted Q's interview are irrelevant and full of your own BS, Rain wrote. Q was once a brilliant music producer who was losing his mind and decided to garner publicity for himself with a sensationalized interview. And because y'all think and equate fame and money with decency, you ate it up like thirsty dogs, as he spewed out a lie about my father who's not here to defend himself. Then on top of it all, my dad's so-called widow validated it because she needs to keep legitimizing herself and tarnish our dad even after he's dead, Rain continued. Rain ended her note, letting her fans know that she wouldn't be putting up with hearing the news and would be getting my millions the correct way, with integrity. Y'all so thirsty and love them, but ever know the real source or full story? And you're gonna wonder how 45 became president? Wake up, she wrote. So read this. I don't need you as a fan or a friend. I don't need anyone in my life that thinks a sensationalized interview is relevant and incredibly well done, Rain added. People who lie or share information to raise themselves up are bottom feeders no matter how much money or influence they have. Wrong is still wrong. #GTFOH. Marlon Brando's son, Miko, also contested the claims of a S relationship between his father and Richard Pryor. He conveyed to TMZ that his family felt disappointed upon learning about these rumors.
Marlon Brando's son is now saying that his father did not bang Richard Pryor.
Miko, Marlon Brando's eldest surviving son, expressed the family's disappointment in response to Quincy Jones' recent remarks. He conveyed their dismay over the wrongful comments made about both Marlon Brando and Richard Pryor.
Because the father's not going to tell his son, guess who I banged?
He would have had to say to his son, guess who I didn't bang, which had never happened.
The notion of Brando and Pryor being involved romantically may indeed appear scandalous, but it's essential to consider that both men had tumultuous love lives during their respective eras. Richard Pryor, widely acknowledged as one of the most influential stand-up comedians of all time, had a complex romantic history. He entered into matrimony 7 times, with 5 different women. Jennifer, who shared the revelation of his bisexuality, was both his 4th and 7th wife. They initially married in August 1981, divorced in October 1982, and later reunited in 2001. Their union endured until Pryor's passing in 2005.
Like a shark. He was always moving. And by that I mean, certainly if not physically, mentally. He was always cooking. There was always,
Pryor also had romantic associations with actresses Pam Grier and Margot Kidder, along with one notable relationship with a drag queen who he likened to Josephine Baker. He described the affair in his autobiography, writing, "I discovered that she was actually a he. For some reason, I didn't care. But after 2 weeks of being gay, I went back to life as a heterosexual." However, on the other hand, for Marlon, you could fill a small library with details and rumors from his private life. The Studley movie star was known as a womanizer. He engaged in numerous affairs with women and occasionally men. It was further speculated when Paul Newman was outed from beyond the grave by Marlon Brando, according to writer Darwin Porter's scandalous new book on the late movie legend. Porter interviewed Brando about Newman prior to the esteemed actor's death in 2004 and was taken aback by the revelations shared by the iconic star. However, many stars believe that he was strange.
He was a strange man. He didn't like me at all, and I didn't try to look like him.
In his book, Paul Newman, the man behind the baby blues, he quotes Brando as saying, "He never fooled me." Paul Newman had just as many on-location affairs as the rest of us, and he was just as bisexual as I was. But where I was always getting caught with my pants down, he managed to do it in the dark. Porter tells America's The Globe that he has been tracking Newman's secret S encounters since he met the actor in 1959, and alleges in his new book, The Late Star, who was happily married to actress Joanne Woodward for 50 years, bedded icons like Grace Kelly, Judy Garland, Natalie Wood, and Marilyn Monroe.
This was a lucky break for me. I mean, just happened on a Monday night, and I took advantage of it.
The writer also claims Newman and James Dean had a gay romance with Marlon. Legendary Hollywood heartthrobs Marlon Brando and James Dean may have been more than fellow celebrities. LGBTQ Nation reports a new book. James Dean, Tomorrow Never Comes, claims Brando and Dean had a S relationship that went far beyond vanilla trysts. James Dean is a legend. He is world famous, renowned and revered for his talent and persona. Thanks in large part to East of Eden, 1955, and Rebel Without a Cause, two films that established him as one of the most recognizable characters in American cinema history. James Dean will always be remembered as a somber, romantic figure and the archetypal 1950s youth, 1956. Dean may be best known for his 3 major film roles, but there was a serious-minded, disciplined, and trained actor behind that small body of work. He was intelligent and exuded a charisma that attracted both men and women. However, many reports suggest that Marlon Brando and James Dean allegedly indulged in S&M relationship.
Wonder whether I go for the girls, though, you know? Oh, I think the girls go for the gym. Oh, great. Sad mom. Kiss me. Can't hear.
Rumors of S encounters between the pals have long persisted, but writers Danforth Prince and Darwin Porter's book, James Dean, Tomorrow Never Comes, makes some startling revelations. According to Stanley Haggart, a friend of James's, Marlon played mind games with the Rebel Without a Cause actor. James Dean was 7 years his junior and worshipped the veteran actor, Marlon Brando. This allegedly included the actor Brando compelling Dean to watch him have S*X with other people and forcing him to wait outside Brando's apartment for some S&M play. The veteran would often indulge in other acts of S&M as James Dean was blindly in love with Brando, so he followed through. It is written in the book, I got the impression that Jimmy was engaged in a cat-and-mouse affair with Brando being the cat, of course, Haggart says. Brando seemed to be toying with Jimmy for his own amusement. I think Brando was sadistically using Jimmy, who followed him around like a lovesick puppy with his tongue wagging. The veracity of the account is subject to scrutiny, as Prince and Porter have gained notoriety for crafting fabricated S narratives involving celebrities like Steve McQueen and Peter O'Toole. Speculation about Dean's S orientation, whether bisexual or gay, has persisted since his passing in 1955. But as we all know, the actor's family has already dismissed Porter's book, claiming the S allegations are disgusting. Not only his family, his fans also stood firm with him. One of them wrote, "He was never a good boyfriend or a good husband, but people let that slide because he was a great actor." Really? So being a good actor absolves you of anything bad you do in life? Celebrity culture, anyone? OMG. Another one added, well, Marlon Brando was not straight. He was bisexual. What's the problem with that? It is society itself that labels people's behaviors and doesn't let people experience or live their lives the way they want to. Enough is enough. You have the right to live your life however you want to live it. Be free, love unconditionally, and love freely. Good for you, Marlon. One more person penned. The man was almost pushed out of the biz, gets The Godfather, and it's a legendary performance. Wins an award and still says F you to the industry by not showing up for the award. That's pretty ballsy. It turned out that he already knew the rumors when he was alive. A source says, Paul knew there were rumors out there about his sexuality, and to have to face them when he's not here to dispute them is Joanne's worst nightmare. In another book, The Contender, The Story of Marlon Brando, author William J. Mann details the actor's life using new and revelatory material from the late star's own private archives. According to excerpts obtained by dailymail.com, the Godfather star was a S addict who had romps with both women and men.
Richard Pryor, thinking about Richard Pryor getting so coked up that he let Marlon Brando was one of the things I was like, Unless he that's prejudice of me. I should just assume he enjoyed it.
The legendary thespian, also known as Bud, was born on April 3rd, 1924 in Omaha, Nebraska to Mom Dodie Pennebaker Brando, someone who saw the beauty in life, and Dad Marlon Brando Sr., a card-carrying PR **K, a silent, brooding, angry man who was allegedly abusive towards his family. After one incident, where Marlon threatened to K his father if he hit his mother one more time, Brando Jr. was sent to Shattuck Military Academy in Minnesota to straighten out. While at school, Marlon was introduced to drama classes and allegedly had S-relations with another male cadet. Mann wrote, "The relationship was nothing extraordinary. S-play between cadets at military schools was not uncommon. In fact, Brando made no judgments about another person's sexuality. He was a man utterly at ease with his fluid sexuality, someone who blithely disregarded the binaries of love and gender." Eventually, he made his way to New York, where he took acting classes with Stella Adler, and even had a reported relationship with her daughter Ellen. Brando remembered, "There was a lot of F***ing going on, and I was in the thick of it." At the time, he also reportedly had relationships with Celia, a window dresser, and Blossom Plum, a classmate. Throughout his life, Brando had several alleged flings with other celebrities. On the 20th Century Fox lot, he met West Side Story actress Rita Moreno, who found him swaggeringly irresistible. Recently, Puerto Rican-American actress Rita Moreno opened up about her relationship with late actor Marlon Brando.
We had a lot of girls downstairs.
I see. And I haul off and smack him on the face. Fire!
We did it. During a conversation with Jessica Chastain on Variety's Actors on Actors series, the 90-year-old actress shared insights about Marlon Brando's behavior towards women. This discussion arose from Chastain's concerns about gender inequality and the opportunities granted to the renowned actor from The Godfather.
I mean, he was the love of my life, but he was crazy. And you know what? To go with a crazy man means you're crazy too.
The two first crossed paths on the set of the 1954 Napoleon biopic Desiree, when Moreno was just 22 years old. Over the course of nearly 8 years, Moreno and Brando were in a relationship. Describing their relationship as exciting, the West Side Story actress characterized Marlon as extraordinary, but noted that he mistreated women. She also mentioned that her involvement with Brando had a transformative effect on her, saying, "So whenever he lied, I would look at him and I'd say, 'Marlon, look at me.' And he'd start to grin this kind of, I don't want to use the bad word, that poop-eating grin. I could read him like a book, and that's why he loved me. And that's why he mistreated me in so many ways. I tried to end my life with pills in his house. That's how I tried to do it." The Academy Award-winning actress went on to express her struggles with understanding that if she were to die by S, it wouldn't only be the sad part of her that perished, but also her usual self. Rita Moreno and Marlon Brando later shared the screen in the 1969 film The Night of the Following Day. In their conversation, she reminisced that the late actor from The Wild One, who passed away at the age of 80 in 2004, had expressed a desire to collaborate with her again. What's interesting is that he wanted to renew. "I was now married. I had a beautiful child, Fernanda." However, Moreno made it clear that she didn't want to reunite with Brando because she felt he had lost the good part of himself that she had once cherished.
It's sort of it's collusion. You collude. Nothing is ever really said, but you know, I'll be the little girl and your little maid, your little geisha, and you be my daddy.
In a 2017 interview with People magazine, the Singin' in the Rain star candidly referred to Brando as the lust of her life. She also disclosed that she kept a picture of Brando in her room because he had been a significant love in her life. Nevertheless, she lovingly gestured to a picture of her late husband, Leonard Gordon, whom she married in 1965, and referred to him as the love of her life.
Ooh, I felt I couldn't live without him. But I'm the one who initiated that whole thing because I knew this was bad for me.
Brando was also close friends with Marilyn Monroe, and in the documentary Listen to Me, Marlon, he claimed he spoke to her on the phone 2 days before she passed. Rumors persist that they casually dated in 1955 and slept together at least once. In contrast to these claims, Brando's friend and biographer George Englund wrote that Brando had a chance to sleep with Monroe, but didn't take it, stating that she wasn't his type. This thing led people to think that he was not a good person. One person added, "Marlon had an affair with James Baldwin. He liked witty black men. And Richard definitely was his type. Quincy Jones saw them rocking out with their CKs out. I would love for Quincy Jones to tell all he's seen." And yes, people suggest that he was attracted to black men and mostly slept with them. In Quincy Jones's infamous Vulture interview, the musician not only claimed Brando had a S relationship with Richard Pryor, he also said that Brando slept with author and social critic James Baldwin. He'd sleep with anything, even a mailbox. James Baldwin, Richard Pryor, Marvin Gaye, Jones said. Marvin Gaye's sister vehemently denied Jones's claims. While Brando's relationship with Baldwin was not denied, neither was it fully confirmed. Brando and Baldwin were known for their close relationship. Baldwin never made a clear statement regarding his S, but he was believed to have had homosexual relationships with men.
I don't know. There was a time when nobody was on the road, really. There was a time when Rosa Parks stood up in a bus in Montgomery, Alabama, and from that date...
Brando did think highly of Baldwin. In a 1990 interview, Brando reportedly said, "If you wish to ask me what I cared about most now, if you ask me to state what was important or lasting, it would have to be that I walked and sat and dreamed next to a man named James Baldwin." While in his younger days, Brando was perceived as a heartthrob capable of seducing any woman, his relationships with men were mostly kept under the radar. In Brando's heyday of the 50s and 60s, and even during the era of his legendary role in the 1972 film The Godfather, homosexuality and bisexuality were nowhere near as accepted or openly discussed as they are today. For this reason, Brando may be appreciated even more so in the modern age as an example of orientation diversity in old Hollywood.
They're giving them like $100,000 to read Superman. Like, you know, when people call you up, "Joe, hi, Joe, this is Cynthia from your agents.
Right.
We're sending you a script over for you to approve."
Marlon Brando's personal life was marked by 3 marriages and numerous long-term relationships with women, resulting in several children. In 1957, he wed his first wife, Indian actress Anna Kashfi, with whom he had a son named Christian Devi Brando. However, Christian was later incarcerated for the death of his half-sister's boyfriend. Throughout his marriage to Kashfi, Brando was involved in multiple extramarital affairs, including a significant relationship with actress Rita Moreno. The marriage to Kashfi ended in divorce in 1959.
Well, you were married for how long? Very short time.
A year.
Really. Just a year.
Yeah,
and
yes.
in that time you became pregnant with your son?
Yes.
What happened?
Brando's second marriage was to Mexican actress Movida Castaneda in 1960, whom he met on the set of Viva Zapata. She was 7 years his senior, and they had 2 children before divorcing just 2 years later. His third wife was Rita Moreno, whom he met in 1962 while filming Mutiny on the Bounty. At the time, Brando was 37, and Rita was 19. They had 3 children together and eventually divorced in 1972.
I went through a very rough time. I was mispronounced an epileptic. And
oh my gosh.
It was a frightening experience.
In addition to his marriages, Brando had a 14-year-long affair with a Guatemalan maid named Maria Cristina Ruiz, resulting in 3 more children. He also adopted several children during these relationships, with varying reports suggesting the total number of adopted children was either 11 or closer to 15. In David Heyman's 2009 book, Bobby and Jackie, A Love Story, the author asserted that former First Lady Jackie Kennedy had a brief romantic encounter with Marlon Brando in 1964, a year after the assassination of her husband, President John F. Kennedy. According to Heyman's claims, Kennedy and Brando went out to dinner, where they danced and engaged in intimate activity. He then uses Brando's voice to explain how the evening progressed. "When I failed to make a move, she took matters into her own hands and popped the magic question, 'Would you like to spend the night?' I said, 'I thought you'd never ask.'" The author claimed that Kennedy called off the affair after spending 2 nights together. His long list of relationships with women and men both made him a womanizer. However, these relationships never seemed to shake his legacy, and people still admire him. That's it for today. See you in the next video. Until then, goodbye.